When it rains, it pours. You do not want the water destroying your road. Here on this driveway, we can take a look at where the water's going and how we want to redirect it. I'm going to use some spray paint to show where I want it lower. I want all the rain to exit the road. I can't use the tractor today because it's so wet. I'll get it stuck. I'll pickaxe just enough to get the water to go off the road, and then when it dries up, I'll be able to use the tractor. The tractor would just take a swim in this puddle. Okay, it's finally dried out, so we can get started. I'm going to start by using the bottom edge of the loader bucket. I'll start with some small strokes back and forth, and I'll start to cut in that low spot to redirect the rain off the road. This is a delicate balance because if I drag too aggressively, I can't steer. If I start to lose my steering, I'll have to bring the loader up just a little bit. You can see, just moving it back and forth, it's starting to cut that trench right into the road. And this is all without moving the loader at all. As I move forward, the blade on the bottom of the loader will continue to drag dirt and distribute it evenly. Now when I reverse the tractor, it's going to drag a lot more dirt, and especially since there's weight of dirt in the loader itself. Now eventually I'm going to lift the loader up just a little bit and then continue to move backwards and then move forward and push that little pile of dirt forward again. It's kind of like icing a cake. You want it as smooth and level as you can possibly get it. If I take my front edge and I start digging in right now, I'll have a mess. I also want to make sure that the driveway stays compacted. Now each pass, I go a little further in either direction. Okay, now that we have it lowered down a little bit, I'm going to take the front edge and I'm just going to start to cut out a little lower and move some of these bigger rocks out of the way. Now I'll push pretty hard into the dirt. There's times when the front wheels will completely go off the ground just to get the full weight of the tractor. As I cut the road down, I'll continue to move this dirt further and further. Now I'm going to take the cutting edge of the loader and I'm going to back drag. Back dragging will give you the cleanest finish on the road. Now I want enough pressure on the road that I'm scraping as much as I can, but I don't want to lift my wheels off the ground so I can't steer. It's a delicate balance. I may have to raise the loader a little, I may have to lower it, but what I'm after is very smooth transitions. When you have the loader at its lowest point, you just drag back and forth. The tractor should ride nice and even and level. If your tire hits a big rock or a clump of dirt, it'll drive your loader right into the ground and make a big, huge divot. You can start to see everything start to smooth out here. There are times when some of these big rocks will really start to get in the way, so I may have to jump off the tractor and toss them to the side. I want to use the whole length of the tractor to even everything out. Kind of like how you plane a piece of wood. You want that plane to be really long so you can keep everything flat. The principles are very similar to planing a piece of wood or doing auto body or making ground level and flat. You can see the dirt being pulled by the back end of this loader. You may be able to flatten it with this maneuver, but in order to make it smooth, you're going to have to use the cutting edge on the loader. Now you see this big clump of dirt that I'm dragging back? I can't just stop and run my tires over that. So I need to drag it quite a distance to make sure that I even out the road. Then as I move forward, I'll move that dirt back the other way. So when I first started, I did small little strokes back and forth, and I just continued to move out further and further to make sure that I keep everything flat. Now I've got quite a distance in both directions of where I wanted that little section cut out. That big soupy pond is now starting to fill in with dirt, and I can start to push into the weeds a little more. You can see I've got a big chunk out of my cutting edge on this loader. I was digging into a big rock and it just sheared off. This summer I'd like to get that welded back in. It's nice having a full blade. So the road is nice and level and the elevation is much lower. So now I'm going to start to push this extra dirt and these rocks a little further. As I get closer, I'm going to tip my blade down just a little bit. That way I'll be able to grab and cut straight in and push it through. As long as my back wheels will let me, I'll keep pushing. As long as I'm on level ground, I'll keep pushing. I want to keep using the length of the tractor to keep everything nice and smooth. Now that I've got the elevation where I want it, I'm going to blend the one road into the other. So I'll drag everything back and forth and blend this road into the other road. I want the transitions to be smooth. So here I'll lift my loader up a little bit, take the cutting edge, grab that pile of dirt and drag it back the other way. And this time I'll have to drag it back quite a distance because I don't want my tires hitting that big pile of dirt and then digging in and making a bigger groove. So now that I've got everything straightened up, I'll jump off the tractor, grab a rake, and pull everything in nice and smooth. Some of these bigger rocks, I'll just throw right off the lane. You definitely want to rake it while it's loose. If it rains, you won't be able to rake it. My goal was to have that water, when it comes off the hill, just go right off the road. After watching the water patterns, I think it will. So here's a picture before we started, and here's a picture of the elevation cut down. The last thing we need is for the water to go down that hill and cut big ruts in it. So over the years, these are some of the tips and techniques that I've used to be able to get these roads in the right shape and get them smoothed out again. Now, if you're watching this and you've got some methods that have worked really good for you, please leave them down below. I'm always looking for tips that'll make life easier. Well, I really appreciate your time, and thanks for watching.